I'm joined by Bernd Weidensteiner, US economist with Commerzbank. Bernd, good morning. Happy New Year to you. Thanks for joining us.
Happy New Year.
Bernd, I mean, the data at the back end of 2011, if you disregard the jobs market, definitely showed signs of improving. Are we going to see more of the same in the first portion of the year?
Well, hopefully. We saw a decent economic growth in Q4. We think that the US economy might have grown roughly 3.5% in the fourth quarter of last year. And we are quite optimistic when it comes to 2011. The US consumer is now back to a more generous spending behavior, and investment in the private sector is still pretty decent. Therefore, we might see 4% growth rate in 2011. But as you say, the US economy is sticking out itself from a pretty deep hole, and it will take a couple of years of 4% growth to bring unemployment down to a more manageable level.
And unemployment is probably the economic number of the week, isn't it? And it should show a third consecutive month of gains, shouldn't it?
Yes, we are relatively optimistic when it comes to Friday's employment report. After relatively disappointing numbers in the last months, we now see an improvement. Maybe we see roughly 200,000 non-farm payroll gains. And that's not spectacular, but it's definitely an improvement over the last couple of months. And if economic growth comes out along the lines we just said, then maybe employment gains will accelerate, which will bring unemployment down, albeit slowly.
And if economic growth comes out along the lines that you've said, around 4% next year, does that mean that there won't be any necessity for quantitative easing beyond the second round, beyond June 2011?
Well, if Mr. Bernanke is set on another round of QE, he will be in definitely for an uphill struggle. If economic growth comes around 4%, then he will have mighty difficulties pushing through another round of QE through the Fed itself, and he will also face massive political headwinds. And therefore, if it comes to 4%, I think QE will be terminated in mid-2011.
We started with the political side of things, Bernd. Let's move on to that, because a gridlock in Congress, what sort of impact might that have on the economy in 2011?
Well, certainly Mr. Obama will not longer be able to push through his liberal agenda after they lost control of the House of Representatives. On the other hand, I think the voter won't tolerate it if the Republican majority in the House of Representatives is seen as a purely destructive force. And therefore, maybe there are some forces pushing both political parties to a more middle line, to a more line of compromise. And therefore, maybe the political spectrum will not be a too negative force in 2011.
Okay, Bernd, thanks for joining us.